And I think that's the great thing about the platform like YouTube is you've got that time frame and that video evidence of you growing up and becoming the person that you want to be and that you are now.
And I think what I love about it is doing it with someone else, because I feel like I don't know how I would have survived doing it alone, because when you do it with someone else, I think you just have that person who you can always check in with. So we always allow each other to just mentally check in and make sure we're all right.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky. I am your host, Jon Santiago, and each week I interview content creators about their story strategies and experiences of building an online audience through video. On the surface, James Hobbs and Kiimmy Kimani might seem like your average 20-something-year-old couple, but in 2017, their relationship took center stage when they decided to launch their own YouTube channel. 4 years and over 14 million views later, James and Kiimmy are going strong. In fact, they've managed to grow an engaged and dedicated fan base of over 175,000 subscribers at the time of this podcast. From challenges and reactions to stories and Q&As, James and Kimmy's eponymous YouTube channel features a mix of content, but at the heart of every video is their down-to-earth relatability that you can't help but admire and keeps you hooked with every video. I talked to them about a lot of different things, including the value of finding a talent manager to handle sponsorship and business deals, how they think about what parts of their lives to share or keep private, and the importance of taking breaks, and so much more. I want to remind all of you, we've got a free gift for you. If you are new around here, if you're a content creator, get a copy of our free scripting template. All you have to do is go to videocraftshow.com, scroll down, and there will be a form to sign up to our email list if you haven't done that already. And then you will get a free copy of our scripting template that will help you organize and structure your ideas. Before we jump into that conversation, one of the biggest takeaways that I gathered from talking with James and Kiimmy is just how mission driven they are. They're really inspired to just help other people. You know, as cliched as that might sound, I genuinely got that sense from them. Like, it's the irony of their channel, right, is that it's about them, but it's so much more for them. It's actually about the audience. Right? What keeps them moving, what keeps them going, what keeps them pushing forward is the idea that they can impact and influence other people in a positive way. Let's go ahead and jump into this conversation that I have with James Hobbs and Kiimmy Kimani here on the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky. James Hobbs and Kiimmy Kimani, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky. I know you guys are dealing with a heat wave right now, so we got the fans on in the background, but you guys are surviving, right?
That's right, we're surviving. It's difficult,
barely,
but we're still going.
Very well. Hopefully this doesn't last that much longer. I mean, I just actually spoke to another guest who was dealing with the same issue. So, but yeah, I'm glad to have you guys on. I'm really excited actually for this particular conversation, just having gone and done like a deep dive into your content and watching your YouTube channel and kind of knowing a little bit about your stories going into it. But that's something that I always like to start with in these conversations is just like your backgrounds, the backgrounds of the guests and how they got to end up becoming content creators. But it's very interesting, like watching some of your videos and finding out how you two met. You two met basically through Snapchat.
We did. Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, maybe it's just me, like I'm a bit like I'm like an elder millennial compared to you guys. So like sliding into the DMs and whatnot is a little bit more, I don't know, I'm a little bit more cautious with it, but like, I know you have a video about that, like on your YouTube channel, but could you just kind of give like the short version of like how that all came to be in terms of you guys connecting over Snapchat and becoming friends and then eventually, you know, becoming a couple out of that?
But yeah, no, first of all, thank you for having us. You know, we're really excited about doing this as well, so we're really looking forward to it. But yeah, back to the question. So like, it's got to be 5-6 years ago now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's ages ago. 5-6
years ago, and obviously things were completely different then. We were a lot younger, and Snapchat used to have
recommended friends of friends.
Had a function where it had recommended friends of friends, but they used to have like a little emoji.
You can have your picture that moves around and stuff like that.
You could see the person.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through my Snapchat and I saw that Kimmy kept popping up. Kimmy kept popping up saying that we had mutual friends. And I thought, okay, let me check out her profile. So I checked out her profile and her little emote of her moving around. I thought, okay, I'll add her and, see what happens. And just sort of, I added her, and then you added me back, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You added me back, and then it was like we built a friendship before anything else. Like when we added each other, it wasn't like it was just
slide in the DM straight away.
Yes.
It was. I used to post like very positive quotes and like some of my favorite book quotes. And I remember I posted one, and a lot of my friends just kind of go for it. They don't really reply to them. And I remember you started responding back with other quotes, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, someone who finally gets this. So he started sending me back quotes, and we kind of started sending each other recommendations for stuff.
Books, films.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a slide in the DM intention straight away. It was like a get to know each other. So we'd say we were friends first.
Yeah.
We were friends first, most definitely, yeah.
So what do you remember the book that caught your attention, James, that Kimmy posted about?
There was quite a few.
Quote.
There was quite a few. So like I said, it used to be a various sort of motivational quotes that we both used to sort of post. Like I was mentoring these kids from South London in a football program or a soccer program that you guys have over there, and it was sort of like helping these kids from that didn't possibly have the best start, but like how they can use sport to better themselves. So I would always like have these motivational quotes and speeches that I'd say to them, and then it was quite refreshing seeing Kimmy post. It was like, wow, I used that. I said that to my boys like yesterday, and then it just sort of went from there. And it was like, you should check out the book The Secret, and then it was like, oh, there's 7 spiritual laws of success, and all these sorts of different books that I'd read and she'd read, and we sort of just was throwing these books at each other and all sorts of quotes, and that's kind of how it came to be.
But I was using the motivational quotes myself.
Yeah.
Like I needed to motivate myself as much as possible.
Yeah, that's usually what those are, right? Like when people post, it's you're sending a message essentially to yourself to kind of get yourself going, and it's almost like by putting it out there to like your followers or like your friends on whatever social media platform, it's kind of like a way to hold yourself a little bit accountable, I guess.
Yeah,
it is 100%.
Exactly. So how long before you guys ended up meeting and actually hanging out with each other like properly in person?
Yeah, it was a few months.
A couple of months.
It was a few months.
We spoke for a while.
4 or 5 months, wasn't it, of just sort of talking to each other on a regular basis before we said,
should we meet up sometime?
Do you fancy meeting up?
Yeah, let's do something. And then we made suggestions, and then he let me choose what we should do. I was very bad at it because I had just moved to a new area, hadn't I?
Yeah.
I just moved to a new area, so I didn't know a lot of what was going on. But I thought, oh, safe choice. Let me just choose like a nice little restaurant where it's kind of casual, so nothing too fancy. And I told him the time, but I think we got the times wrong. Or you're very much an on-time person, and I'm just a very not on-time person. Because when he texted me to say I'm outside, and bear in mind, this is someone you've never met before, and they're like, I'm here. His first impression of me was, I'm kind of getting ready at the moment, just started. So do you want to wait for me? And how long did you wait?
It nearly wasn't a thing. So not only did we live 2 hours apart from each other, I then subsequently waited 2 hours for her, and it was when I was setting off to go back home thinking, do you know what, I've been stood up here, let me just go home. It was as I got to like the roundabout before I was to get on the motorway to go back home for 2 hours, I got a text saying, sorry, I thought we said 9:45, and I was there at 7:45. So I was having I was driving thinking, do I turn around or do I keep going? So eventually I thought, you know what, I'm here.
Yeah.
I turned around and we ended up having a great time.
Yeah, thank God you did.
Yeah, you hadn't left too early yet. Like you were still close enough to where you can make the U-turn back and go on the date. And then here we are today. You guys got together, started your relationship and whatnot. Where does the conversation for YouTube and creating content like enter the picture?
Oh, we were already making content separately because I had my own channel, which I was already uploading content on. And you were making content by yourself with your friends as well. So you're very familiar with the YouTube platform and uploading content. So I think it's a lot further down in the line of us like establishing where we are with each other, moving on from the friendship to an actual relationship. I asked him, does he want to be one of my videos, like a fun video? Let's do a fun video for my channel. And he came on and he got a really good reaction. And a lot of people are suggesting, oh, you guys should just do a channel together. You guys should do a channel together. And then, because we started thinking about making more content together, we thought, oh, should we maybe perhaps start like a travel channel and start that separately? But we never made any travel videos.
It never got to that point. Yeah.
I see. So how long were you two creating content on your own separately?
Well, for me, I preferred to be behind the camera, so I preferred to film and edit. So this was like 2016. So a friend of mine had actually started a YouTube channel in 2016, and their channel grew. They got to, I think they must have got to about 50, 60,000 in their first year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So I was sort of filming content and editing content, and he was showing me like YouTube and this and the editing stuff. So I was starting to get to grips with that. And it just so happened that you was already creating content on your channel, which I didn't even know about initially, like, because you kept it quite private, didn't you?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was...
I think for me, I started my channel because I had gotten into acting school and decided, oh, that's where I want to go with everything. And then from there, because I just wanted to boost my confidence on camera, I'd always wanted to start a channel. So prior to us meeting, I think 2 years before, I started a channel and I was just posting like silly videos here and there with my friends, little motivational stuff here and there. And then, that's all the content I was posting, just like Life with Kimmy.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating. It's so fascinating to me because it's almost like you're like the yin and yang to each other, because James, you're the guy who really gravitates to the editing, the filming, the production element of it. And then Kimmy, you went to acting school, you studied to become an actress. And so like, it's almost like this, I don't know, the universe was just conspiring to like bring you two together.
Definitely. We say that so many times.
That we have a lot of cultural differences, but our similarities are like crazy in terms of like how our families are and like our life experiences. Even though I grew up until the age of 9-10 in Kenya, after I came here, like our lives are so similar in terms of the sports we played, how far advanced we are in sports, how competitive we are, all the way down to how long we both had braces and how many teeth we had to get taken out to have those braces. It's so crazy. We always feel like we're literally one person but in like two different bodies sometimes.
Wow.
And like when we was younger, when the Olympics was in London, we only found this out the other day when we was at a family barbecue. I was at the Olympics just watching, and Kimmy was actually at the Olympics performing. So we've always had these moments where we've kind of been crossing each other's paths but never even realised.
And my acting school was so close to your house, to where you live. And then the tube I used to get to go to acting school, I used to get it around the same time you finished work, but we never crossed paths.
Actually, the funny thing is that story, your acting school used to be the other side of London, and then it actually got moved.
Oh yeah, it did.
So you were far, and then it got moved closer. Which was
all the way to the other side of London, closer to you.
Yeah, so strange.
Yeah, it's like you guys ever see that movie? There's like Serendipity with like John Cusack and who I think it was like Kate Beckinsale. This is an old movie. I think it was like 20 years ago. But it's like your love story, so to speak. You know, it really sounds like very serendipitous. Like you probably like crossed paths many times and didn't even know it.
100%.
Yeah, we always think that all the time. It's so weird.
Yeah. So Kimmy, I want to touch with you on that, on like your, coming to the UK from Kenya. What do you remember about that transition, like coming to a new country like at such a young age?
I think it was a little bit scary. I remember like moments where we were leaving and you kind of don't want to leave because that's the place you know as home. But my dad was here prior, so it was kind of that big family reunion for us. But it was a massive culture shock for me because everything's so different. But I think also when you're in Kenya, like your expectations of what you hear it, what you see in movies and what people say, you feel like, oh, it's going to be magical, it's going to be amazing. So that's a bit of a letdown when you come here and you're like, oh, it's kind of normalish. Like, it's not that far from the city. But coming here is because I spoke English in school anyway. So that was one thing I didn't have to adapt to. Obviously, I had a little Kenyan accent going on. But I think that was a massive thing for my sister because she had never spoken a word of English. So coming in, going straight to school and having to learn a whole different language and studying a whole different language, that was really hard for her. But at the same time, with my school, there wasn't a lot of diversity, the first school I went into. So it was kind of seeing all these people who don't look like, coming from a place where everyone looks like you, sounds like you, and everything else, to a place where every day you're seeing people who don't look like you, and then they kind of make you feel some sort of way about yourself. So I always decide, like, oh, begging my mum, relax my hair, do this and that, just so I fit in a little bit more. But I'm glad she didn't let me do all those things, because I've learned so much about my culture since and educated myself to the point I actually love it, and I can't wait to teach our little future babies all about my culture.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be remiss to also like not congratulate you guys, because you are expecting. You're now 4 months in, right, into your pregnancy.
That's right, yeah, 4 months.
Yeah, no, that's congratulations on that. It's really cool to see, certain YouTubers like yourself who you're like growing up on the platform. Like you're showing the evolution of yourselves from like early on in your relationship to then like buying a house. I know you bought a house a couple years ago, to now you're going through this phase where you're having a child, and then eventually you're both engaged. You're eventually gonna get married and whatnot. So does that feel a little overwhelming at all at times? Like, cause it's almost like you're kind of like a reality TV show, but you're in control. You're in control of the production rather than like, a lot of reality TV stars. They're almost like actors, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's nice to see our journey, just for us to look back as well, and family to have seen that journey of where we've came from and how we've kind of grew up together, and we've done all these amazing big things together. And it's also, like you said, we're in charge of what we show. So we're not showing everything. So we have still got our private lives. And I think that's what's great about a platform like YouTube is, like you said, in a reality TV show, you're thrown in somewhere and you've got cameras each and every angle filming you. And I think it can become overwhelming. And when you see these people, they step out of reality TV shows, they've gone in and they come out and they've got millions of followers overnight. It's you haven't adjusted to that mentally, and I think that's the great thing with us is we've gone through every stage: 0 subscribers, 10 subscribers, 100 subscribers, and we've slowly built and we've kind of refined what we're good at, what we're not good at, how can we approach this situation, that situation, and I think that's the great thing about the platform like YouTube is you've got that time frame and that video evidence of you growing up and becoming the person that you want to be and that you are now.
Yeah, and I think what I love about it is doing it with someone else, because I feel like I don't know how I would have survived doing it alone, because when you do it with someone else, I think you just have that person who you can always check in with. Because a lot of friends, when you try to describe like some of the pressures you get from social media, they might not quite get it. They just feel like, turn off your phone, turn off your socials. But you're past that level where you could just turn off your phone and turn off your socials and everything's okay. So I always feel like if something's wrong, I can always check in with you. Yeah. And if I'm having a bad day or I don't feel great, it's one of those where he always makes the decision like, okay, we're not filming today, let's take a quick break. So we always allow each other to just mentally check in and make sure we're all right. Yeah. So I think that's a great thing. Whereas if it was TV, you'd have to be on it every single day, whether you're having a good day, bad day. Yeah. So I think,
because there has been periods of where we haven't been motivated. I remember in 2019, I stepped away from YouTube for a while. I said, I've got to have a break from this for a while, because it was just becoming, with YouTube, it's not guaranteed overnight success. So it's a long haul game. And I remember we were working 3 jobs, and all these things. And it was like we're filming, editing, working, filming, editing, working, filming, editing, working, and all those sorts of things. And it was like, it had become too much at a point, hadn't it? And I was like, I just need a little break, rest and recharge, and then we can go back and full speed down the tunnel.
Or when I found out I was pregnant, that first 3 months was so hard because I was so badly ill, and we had to keep going in hospital, and we just made that decision that we couldn't film at all. I needed to rest. I needed that break. And it's great to be on a platform that you can take a break and people understand. So that's why sometimes you feel like your supporters and subscribers are sort of like family, because they understand what you're going through, and you've taken them on this journey and they invested in you as a person. So even when we came back after 3 months, a lot of them were so quick to rush back and check in, and even when we were away, they kept DMing us, messaging us to check in. A lot of them kind of guessed I was pregnant. But I think there's a lot of support on the platform as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me because it's like, you know, if we were talking about kind of making the comparison to being you guys being YouTubers relative to somebody who is like on a traditional reality television show, like you guys are more in control of like the final product, whereas like you said, a reality TV star, if they're on like Big Brother or something like that, they're constantly being filmed, but they don't get like editorial say so of like how their words and their actions captured on film is going to be portrayed and like what gets seen by the audience, whereas you guys, you get that like final like creative control there. And so I'm sure that makes it feel a little bit more, not easy, but easier to deal with like the trappings, I guess, of like the kind of fame that you guys deal with like on a micro level.
No, definitely, I agree. It's that journey, process as well. Like having, you hear about, you know, people that win the lottery, you know, and you know, in 5-10 years later they've spent all of the money from the lottery, and they're thinking, what happened? Their mindset hasn't adjusted to that level of growing, let's say, a £10 million company or a business. They've just been given £10 million overnight. And I think the same works for becoming a content creator. You have to go through the stages and the processes and understand the inner workings of the community. The YouTube community here in the UK is big, but it's very small. Once you're in the circle, you're in the circle with a lot of very big creators and a lot of very small creators, and it's kind of when you pass 10,000 subscribers, isn't it? You start to get invited to the events here in the UK, and you'll be sat across the room for someone who's got 10 million subscribers. And I remember when we hit 10,000 subscribers and we did the stand up to cancer charity thing for Channel 4 and YouTube. We were working with Joe Suggs and all these people, and it's like you felt like, how am I in the room with these people? They've got 10 million subscribers, but once you're in that little group, it's very easy to navigate through it. Whereas sometimes you see people that come in from reality TV shows, and it's not knocking them. They don't quite understand the workings from the inside. Yeah.
And as a creator, you kind of get eased into the process and eased into, you know, becoming an influencer or whatever people want to call it. But because as you're growing, you don't grow. Some people do grow overnight, to be fair, but a lot of creators, because you grow gradually, you're slowly adjusting yourself to each and every step.
Gotcha. No, that's, I wonder too about, you know, your upbringing, both of your upbringings as well. You know, we touched on yours a little bit, Kimmy, coming from Kenya to the UK, and James, you know, I know you have like a background in coaching football out there, but like it seems like what I'm trying to get at is like you two have like a very like solid footing or like head on your shoulders about like how to like navigate this like new world of like content creation fame that, you know, nobody else in like human history has like really experienced. I mean, the only comparable kind of experience is people who were celebrities. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, who do you credit that to? Is it like to your family, parents, other people in your life to kind of, you know, keep you humble throughout, you know, this whole process of growing your platforms on YouTube? Yeah,
I think a lot of it. So my background is I'm from a single parent family. So my mum raised me and my sister, and a lot of the lessons that she taught me. So my grandparents were heavily involved as well. So my mum, as you've probably seen from the channel, she is loud, out there, proud. You know, she's full on 110% because she had children relatively young. She was 18 when she had me, not 18, 19 when she had me. So she still is a child. We say she's the big child. And then my grandparents are very traditional, very strict, very, play it safe and down the line type thing. So growing up, I had that freedom to experiment beyond the wall, but also know that I've got to play it down the line and straight and make sure things are all in line, and hard work will get me there, but throw in a bit of creativity and a few explosions and it'll all work. So going through that has helped me sort of understand myself and understand the balance of what's needed. I've seen a lot of people as well along the journey who have grown very quickly, but disappeared just as quick. So for us, we always say we're playing the long game. It's not about having 1 million subscribers tomorrow. It's, can we build a community that will still love us in 10 years' time, than to hit 1 million and disappear and be like, see on a video, what happened to James and Kimmy and all those sort of things. So we're just taking it step by step, slow process. Rome wasn't built in a day, so it's that sort of mentality and staying focused on what your goals are. We've got vision boards where we set yearly goals, 5-year goals, and all these things that we've got, and we know that as long as we're still heading in that direction, things will all fall in a line and should work out the way we want them to.
Yeah, but I think for me, I think it's coming from where I came from in terms of because I grew up in a small village in Kenya. So when I came here, I just felt very blessed about all the opportunities I have, because some of my friends back in Kenya, obviously they're not going to come close to some of the opportunities I could get here. And then after coming here, my mum became a single parent very quickly. So she was just learning to navigate a new country with 4 kids, and it was I saw how hard that was on her. And from that, I was just so motivated to just make the most out of the opportunity I have, take every opportunity I get, because not a lot of girls in Kenya would have the opportunity to study in some of the universities here, or even build a career off social media. That's not a thing. Yeah. So every opportunity I've ever had, including football, playing sports, I've always just taken it and just run with it.
Well, it's that thing as well. My grandparents didn't understand YouTube. When I said we're making YouTube videos, they were like, so people are going to watch you guys talk about stuff and watch you go. They said, well, they're like, why would someone do that? And we're like, it's this thing where people like to do it. It's like reality TV, but they get to see us, and they couldn't understand it. But now they love it. They think it's amazing. They can't believe it. And the same was for your mum, wasn't it? Your mum was like, you want to do acting and YouTube? It's like, what is that? What does that entail? And that's kind of, I think we've been quite lucky where we've been able to show them what it entails, and now they love it and think it's the best thing since sliced bread.
It's true. And I'm very happy in terms of my mum has always been one of those people. She'll let you do whatever you want in terms of career, as long as you're committed to it 100%. You have to show her you're committed to this thing 100%. So even when I was doing my own YouTube channel and I had to go to work, it was one of those things. If I'm coming home every day from work and I'm just chilling on the sofa doing nothing, she will pull me up on it. So this YouTube thing you said you were going to do and commit to it, what's going on? So you have to show. My mum has always said, if you say you're going to do this and you want me to support you, you have to at least show me you're committed. So
man, I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm enjoying this conversation because you guys are just very inspirational. The way that you guys carry yourself is like, I can tell, and from watching some of your videos, that you really want to use this platform that you've built to inspire other people like yourself, that this is possible. Like what you guys have been able to accomplish has been possible. Do you ever run into moments where you ever feel unsure about being a role model for others and people that follow your channel? And if so, how do you deal with that when those moments come? If not, then we can move on to the next question.
Like I said before I started the YouTube channel, I was helping these young boys to try and encourage them to go out into the world and become productive members of society in doing whatever they felt was good for them. So I've always had this sort of, I want to motivate and inspire the next generation. I always used to say that. I was speaking to my brother the other day, and yesterday, in fact, and I said to him, you know, the secret to life is like everything is, the best moments are build-ups and releases. And what I meant by that is, like, during the football season, it was hard. You know, it was hard to motivate the boys. It was hard to get them to come down. It was hard for them to understand the lesson sometimes, you know, because there had to be a level of structure and discipline that these young kids, they weren't used to. So trying to install that into them, and when things aren't going your way, how do you correct yourself and say, okay, hold yourself accountable. This is what I've done wrong. This is how we're going to move forward. And I said, so throughout the season, it was hard work. It was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. So that was the build-up. The release was at the end of the season, where we all came together and had like a gathering and a barbecue and stuff, and I handed out medals and awards and stuff. It was the release. It was like, wow, we've crossed the line. We've done it. We've managed to finish the season strong, and look where you've all come. No, all of your grades are improving. And you know, I used to make them, where the field was, I used to make them pick up the plastic on the field once we'd finished training. So we'd finished training, I'd say, right, now we're going to go around and pick up. And these kids, when I first was trying to tell them this, they were like, well, it's not our rubbish. Why do we need to? I'm saying it's not about if it's your rubbish or your problem. It's how are you going to fix it? And it's that external factor. If someone else has caused this problem, now we've got to go around the whole field and collect it. And at the start, they couldn't understand it. Whereas towards the end, they were looking forward to picking up the rubbish because they felt like they was achieving something at the end of it. And it was that build up and that release at the end. And then we'd always go, oh, are we going to do it again next year? Are we going? And then we'd go at the end of the barbecue, we'd go, of course we're going to do it again next year. I'll see you on Monday. And it was just the same thing. We'd go again.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think with my upbringing and with my mum, like I've said before, I think with everything I've done, I've always wanted to make her proud. And similar to you, I was coaching kids in dance, though not quite football. I was teaching little kids dance. So with everything I put out there on socials or with YouTube, the content I made, I've always wanted it to have for people to get something out of it. Whether it's you watch it, you laugh. That's why I'm so keen to watch videos back before we post them, because I want everyone to get something out of it. Whether you learn something, whether it makes you laugh, whether it makes you giggle. I wanted to make content with meaning, and I'm always so aware of my mum's going to watch this video. Little kids who I used to coach are going to watch this video. So I'm very wary of the content we post. So I wouldn't just post any random content, like start posting explicit content. Yeah. So in terms of being a role model, I think I'm so ingrained with all those things, just being wary of who's watching and what kind of example I'm trying to set, that I don't really think about.
We've always said motivate and inspire, isn't it? And that's where it's in line with what we want to do and achieve. So it just feels natural that we keep going down this path and doing our best to try and motivate and inspire.
Yeah. The only moments is when I have like little culture clashes. Do you know what I mean? Like when I do something that for me is very acceptable, the way now I've been raised in two different cultures, being in the UK and being in Kenya. But in Kenya, that's not quite culturally, that's not a thing. So people who watch my channel from Kenya, I'm kind of like, how does your mum let that one slide? And is that okay for you to do that? But it's just like, because I'm now in this other culture, even my mum sees it as acceptable now, so it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to just explain it to people.
Would you be able to give me like an example of that, where there has been like culture clashes, either between like the way that you, or like some of the ideas that you have now, like obviously growing up, you know, this later half of your life in the UK versus like growing up as a child in Kenya, and then even as a couple too, like when you guys have those moments where, oh wait, we're like not necessarily seeing eye to eye now, just because we have different backgrounds that we come from.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest one, which I still get questions till now, is obviously a lot of people from my culture ask me, how did your mum allow you to move in without being married, to move in together? Because in my culture, a lot of people tend to get married first and then they move in together. But I've always tried to explain that we're very committed to each other. Like from the very start, we've always shown commitment to each other. We know we're in this for the long haul. There's no doubts there. And my mum can see how committed we are to each other. So it was easy for her to just kind of, let me move out, because she saw I was really happy. She knows James. He's already part of my family. I'm already part of of yours. So for us, it felt like a natural thing. But for people in Kenya who don't see our lives day to day, who don't spend every day with us to understand how committed we are to each other, they're kind of like, oh, did you guys get married then? Or are you planning to get married then? Because now you're living together. So little things like that.
Gotcha. I see. So as far as like to shift gears a little bit here in terms of, you know, that first year as a couple creating content on YouTube, tell me about like just that, how that was, like the whirlwind of going from basically 0 to then 100 to then 1,000 to then 5,000, then maybe 10,000. Because you guys, you didn't grow overnight, but like in a year's time, you were already at about 50,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. So like I said, my friend who had created a channel before had grown very quickly. So, and I'd seen the steps that they had taken, but not in the sense of I'd seen them and thought, let me replicate them. It was kind of like, okay, as long as you're focused on what you're doing and it's upbeat, family friendly, and the video kind of carries itself, you will grow. So
don't forget the beginning. The beginning was, we didn't quite.
It took us a long time.
Yeah, it took us a long time to even get 100 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers.
And then it just boomed. But so what I was saying, so I saw what they had done. And I thought, well, as long as we're energetic and we want to create content, which we were, because we were like, this is all, well, for me, it was new to be in front of the camera. I was like, when can we film something else? When can we film something else? Let's film something else. So I was that energetic kind of energy, and you were like, yeah, let's just do it. And then when we started to upload, it was like, oh, only 2 people have watched it. Only 5 people have watched it.
Our mums.
Yeah. It was like, oh, okay. So it doesn't just happen overnight. So what do we need to do now? And it was kind of that, let's just create content that we like and enjoy. So what we decided to do is we decided to do absolutely everything. We've done movie reviews, music reviews, films, this, that, and like we spread ourselves so thin because we were just like, we like
let's
this.
Try everything.
We like this. Let's just do this. We want to film something. Let's just do this. So we did all of that, and then that kind of helped us fine tune of what kind of lane we wanted to go in. And I think we started to pick up when we reached 1,000 subscribers. We were speaking to someone, they said all it takes is one video, and everybody's got that one video in them that changes their life. And it was like a new sort of sense of motivation, like, oh, when are we going to find this one video, you know? So what we were doing, everything that went into it was like, let's make it the best and let's just have fun while doing it. And then obviously it happened like 3-4 months later, we had that one video.
Yeah, but the videos you work hardest on sometimes are the ones that least bang.
Yeah.
And you're like, I thought this video was like the best video I've ever edited in my life. How does this not bang? And then it's the most unexpected ones, which you probably randomly had on your phone before that you thought, oh, should I upload this? Should I not? You thought, oh, I'm just going to upload it. Not much effort went into it. And people love it. And you're like, what?
And it's because it's like Casey Neistat said, it's not about the equipment, it's not about the necessarily the editing and all the fancy stuff that you can do. It's about the story you're trying to tell. And I think once we realised that, after that video went out, we kind of realised that we wanted our vlogs to have a beginning, middle and end, and we wanted our Q&As for people to watch the video and go, okay, I've learned something from this. Whether it's they learnt one thing, 2 things, they had to leave with something. So our questions were always trying to help our community solve whatever problem they had.
Yeah.
And it just sort of went from there. Like, but it's hard. Creating content is hard. It's difficult. There's no money in it to start with. You're not going to be rich. You're not going to, do all these things that you feel like you're going to be jet setting here, there and everywhere. It's not like that. It is, it took us a long time. I'd say it's only been like the last 18 months, maybe a year, where it started to pay off, and we're now seeing the benefits of all the hard work we put in 4 years ago. Because in the beginning, you've got nobody watching your videos. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't, it's just optimizing using your other social media platforms, because obviously when you start YouTube, you've got 0 subscribers, and your other platforms have followers on them, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and it's putting casting the rod out there, putting the teaser out there on those other platforms to try and divert traffic to your YouTube channel. And I think that's what we did very well in the beginning. If you look at our earlier Instagram posts, we would have snippets of the video up there posted. Want to see the full video, go and check it out. And it was obviously a different time back then, where Instagram wasn't kind of the place to go to be an influencer, if that kind of makes sense. Nowadays, everybody's an Instagram influencer, and they're always posting, promoting something, whereas when we started, it was kind of post a picture. I think the videos could only be 15 seconds long, so it was like to make a 15-second teaser to send them to watch a 10, 15, 20-minute video on YouTube.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was I think that was like right as Twitter acquired Vine, and then they decided to kill it just because Instagram had like taken over. They started launching video, and so that was one of the ways that you could go and actually, use Instagram as like a promotional tool to drive people to a longer piece of content on YouTube.
We used to do that. We used to, like I said, we'd make the teaser and we'd do those Instagram promotions where you promote that image, that feed, or that video. We used to do that. Select a region. This is how much it is. We're going to promote it to London and divert the traffic to the YouTube channel. And I think that helped as well. Yeah,
but I think what helped was, in the beginning, I think getting your friends and family to support you.
Yeah.
Which was great, because our friends and family were just sharing our content. But it's funny as you grow how that dynamic shifts.
Yeah.
Where in the beginning it's like family and friends constantly posting. They always watch when the video comes out. They're like retweeting everything you tweet and stuff like that. But as you grow, it's more your followers posting, and then your friends are kind of, oh yeah, you did upload, and then they just go and check on it later. So you get a big shift in dynamic as you start to grow.
And they're like, oh, you're not making another YouTube video, are you? Like, I remember one time I was out with my friends and I said, right, I'm going to leave early because I've got a busy day tomorrow. I've got a busy day tomorrow. And one of them said, oh, you're not going off to make another YouTube video, are you? And I was like, I remember that. And I still remember that now, of him saying, you're not going to make another YouTube video, because it ended up working out.
Yeah. But I think as well is because your friends and family spend so much time with you. So if you make like a 20-minute vlog, for example, your followers, they don't see you a lot. They only see you like this once a week or once every here and there. So they're so eager to see what you've been up to and catch up with you. Whereas friends and family, if they spend every second with you and they're constantly around you, if you upload a 20-minute vlog, they're like, oh my God,
not again.
We were speaking for 2 hours earlier on. Now you want me to watch a video about your life for 20 minutes?
Yeah. My mum's a classic one for that. She said, if it's more than 4 minutes, I'm not going to watch it.
You ever tell her, like, Mom, there's like 2x speed. Like, you can watch it in 10 minutes as much as like 20. She's still like, no, I'm good. We already swung out earlier today.
I'm good. Yeah.
I remember one time I was sitting next to her and our video came out. And then I just saw her kind of scroll to the end and said, oh yeah, that was nice. I liked it.
Oh my God, that's funny. There are so many things from that I want to kind of, I want to touch on some of the things that you said. One of them is in terms of like the challenges that you face today as your audience has grown over the last 18 months, as you said. What are some of like your biggest challenges that you're facing these days as a creator? As creators, I should say.
If I'm honest, I think the biggest challenge nowadays is the editing. Isn't it? It's one of those things where you go, right, this video is going to take me half an hour to film, but I know I've got 4 or 5 hours of editing waiting for me on the other side.
But I think that shifted quickly, because in the beginning you used to edit a lot.
I used to love editing.
But now, because I've kind of learned how to edit quite well, and I've kind of taken a bit of that, you find editing quite draining, because I think you did it for a bulk of the time.
Yeah.
But I still kind of enjoy it because I didn't do it as much in the beginning. So I feel like I'm I'm now learning all these little tips and tricks of what to do here, what to do there. So I'm still enjoying that process.
Yeah. So there you go. But so what would you say is your
biggest struggle at the moment? I think since I got pregnant, I think the biggest thing has been just to motivate myself and to just tell my body to respond. Like, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Because sometimes I feel a little bit drained, but we've had 2-3 months off. So I've got to start like telling myself, okay, you've had a lot of time off, you've relaxed, you can do this, and just boosting myself, because it's not just me. I think if it was just me content creating, oh god, the amount of breaks I'd take. But we're doing it together, so it's kind of nice. That motivates me, because when I see you get up, get ready, you've got an idea, you want to do this, that kind of motivates me to like kind of get up and get it done.
And I think us having a team now, like our managers as well, you know, having them holding us accountable as well, saying, you know, the deadline for this video is this day, you know, go for it. And I think that's also another good factor, good motivator for us. But yeah, no, for me, I would definitely say it's the editing.
100%.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, like, this might be a little sideways here, but it is related to some of the things that it perked up in my mind based on some of the things that you were talking about with me. Is just, do you ever feel like creating content is a way for you guys to better understand yourselves and better understand your relationship with each other?
I think so, especially when we do like little things like Q&As, where our subscribers ask us questions about ourselves or about our relationships, and sometimes in those videos there's so many outtakes of us saying, what? Like, you really think that? I feel like we learn so much about each other in those videos, including like the last one we did, because we don't even rehearse the questions, we don't go through the questions, we kind of open our phones and you read a question, I read a question, and we just answer it as we go. And sometimes someone's answering a question and you're like, did we say that? Like, when did we say that? And when are we going to do that? So you kind of a bit, but so we do learn a lot about each other when we're making content as well. And
I think it's having that having those old videos and looking of how we were then as well. It's like, can you believe that that's what we were like then? Now look how grown up and sensible we are together.
Oh my gosh.
That's quite nice as well. It is like and it's there forever, you know, it's there for our kids to see, and they can see what we were like back then and how we were together and how our relationship has grown and so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. And you see how much your mentality has changed as well in the way you answer questions and respond to stuff.
Yes.
Like sometimes you will watch your old video and say, oh, I can't believe I actually thought that, but okay. So you can kind of see your growth process through the videos, which is lovely.
Yeah. It's so wild to think that like your kids will have this treasure trove of like content to know who you were like at this time in your life, right, before they were born, versus like how much do you know about your grandparents or your parents, like based on what they've left you? I mean, like some photos, maybe like old family photos, but nothing like to this degree. It's like, it's wild to think like how that's going to influence like the next generation of people like here on this planet.
Definitely. It is, and I think that is actually sort of in the back of our mind as well. Like, you know, people are going to watch this forever. You know, it's there forever, and that impression that you've got there will last. So make sure that you're all good for the whole way of your journey through this YouTube space.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing we've always spoken about in terms of like, can you imagine that one day our kids will actually be able to see this and see that little timestamp in our lives? Like, this is how we behaved, this is what our mindset was, and this is how we did things. And it is better than a picture.
Yeah.
And even though we can't go back and look at old videos because we're like, the editing, it's just cringy, like, why did we leave that so long? Well, it's at least when we go back and look at it, you know, our children, when they get there, they can say, all right, these were sensible, you know, like you said, hopefully we portray that we've got our head screwed on. They can look back and say, at 23, when they started creating content, they weren't like a jumped up 23-year-old, and it's not anything that we look back and go, oh, can you believe we made a video talking about this, that and the other? Like, we're very confident and proud of what we've achieved in terms of content, and know that it's family friendly from when they start watching to when they finish watching. Even now, they know that they're going to see us for good people.
Yeah, I think as long as you're proud of the content you make and you're true to yourself in terms of what you're putting out there, regardless of future generations, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. I want to talk to you more too about like the idea of taking breaks, because we've chatted about that a little bit here in this conversation. You know, you've alluded to it, like having to take this most recent break as you got pregnant here and wanting to kind of decompress from the grind of content creation, and then taking a break in the past as well. Like when you decide to take a break, is it based on just like mostly like on feeling, and then do you then just say, hey, all right, we're just gonna halt production now, like the next week we're not coming out with a video or anything like that? Or do you get that feeling of like, oh, I think it's coming, I'm feeling the burnout, we should start actually like planning to like slow things down and not create stuff? I'm just more curious about like your process of like when you decide to step away for a little bit.
I think with the pregnancy one, it was completely new, and it was a complete shock, and like how Kimmy's body was reacting, because the first week, if you saw the video, the first week she was in and out of hospital for like 4 of the 7 days, and then the following week it's like she's in hospital for another 3 days. So like that was like a slam the brakes, halt. The last thing we want to be doing is getting a camera out and going, hey, look, she's throwing up again, have a look at this. So for like moments like that, it's a case of halt the brakes. We'll post on the community page with, kind of what's going on. We'll be back with you. But I think for me in 2018 or 2019, and mine was a burnout, and it was people started to notice it in videos. And what it was when we started creating YouTube, like I said, we have these plans, these yearly plans, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year plans. My plan was 100,000 subscribers, because when we first, like we said at the start, when we first started uploading, it takes forever to get 100 subscribers. It takes forever to get 1,000 subscribers. So it felt very long. It's one of those goals that you've got out there that you go, I am going to achieve it at some point, but I don't know how quickly or how far in the distant future it may be. So It's a goal that you've kind of got in the back of your brain, but it's there. And I feel like when we reached 100,000 subscribers, I felt like I'd achieved that goal, but I wasn't seeing any sort of other benefits from it. It wasn't like a financial thing. It was like, right, we've hit 100,000 subscribers, I've reached that goal. Nothing's changed. No, I'm not noticing any difference. And it was like in my head, I'd built up that once you reached 100,000 subscribers and you got your plaque, that was it. You've made it. You're off. You're going to be in America next year, and you're going to be, filming these great big videos and huge budgets. And then it was like, I've got to go to work tomorrow morning. Should we fit in a video this afternoon? And I feel like that started to chip away. And family noticed I was looking a bit tired, and it was just like, I felt like, what difference is it going to make if I post today? I can. But then we've always said it's good to take a break, just don't stop. So what happened was Kimmy kind of made a few solo videos. We done a couple of live streams, so it was more interactive. So I was keeping my foot in the sort of pond, so to speak, like with the live streams where I was being able to interact with people, because talking to subscribers and them saying how much, you've motivated me to do this, I'm now doing this, that, and the other, I love your channel. It kind of felt like, do you know what? This isn't for me. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this because people, it gives them a break from their life. If they're having a difficult moment, they look at us and have a little release. And I felt that kind of, do you know what? I'm excited and ready to come back and create content. And then when we came back, we went for it. I think we went to like 3 videos a week, and just sort of really took a big push, because it was like, it's bigger than, even if you've got 1 subscriber, that 1 subscriber is tuning into you because they like you, they trust you, and you can provide some form of happiness with your content. So you start to realize that your YouTube channel isn't just you, it's you and your community. And then it's like, how can we lead this community to be better out into the bigger community, into the bigger community, and into the bigger community? And I felt like once I had that switch, it was just, let's keep going.
And what we did as well when you were going through your burnout is because I think you were taking on so much in terms of like editing the videos constantly, and you were working, and I think all of that was all on you. And that's when I stepped up in terms of learning to edit, bettering my editing, and I took on that editing. I said, okay, from now on I'll edit the videos, and when you want to come back, like you can edit as much as you want. And it's just like, that's the great thing about working with someone else. You can always like offload a bit of work onto them if you feel like this is too much for me. Whereas I feel like if you were working alone, that break would have been a lot longer and you would have stopped. Because sometimes it does feel like it's a bit much. But when you're working with someone else, you were able to offload that onto me. I was able to keep things going because I was fine. And to be fair, I have my own moments where I feel like, but mine's more like a here and there occasion moment where I just wake up and I'm so tired and I just feel like there's no motivation in me today. And that's when you need someone else to motivate you a little bit. But if I really feel like I'm not up for it, it's one of those where I'll have that discussion with you and you say, yeah, that's fine. We'll put out a notice and we'll say we'll be back next week. We just need a break. And I think a lot of times you can feel it in yourself when you just mentally need a break. And I think it's always good to check in on yourself because you don't want to get to that point where you mentally break down because it's getting too much. Whereas when you check in on yourself regularly and take breaks, the community tends to be really supportive and shows so much love that even if you take a break here or there, they're still going to be there and they're still going to be there for you 100%. So always check in on yourself.
Yeah, I wonder too, like, you know, there's kind of like this facade, I guess, especially with like individual content creators. If you're just like a solo YouTuber, that it's just the very successful ones, right? Like they're constantly churning out content, but you don't really know that they actually do have like teams working with it, especially if they've like gotten to like a certain level.
Definitely.
And you know, it's whether, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that whether you're creating, you're like the solo star of your own channel, or you have co-stars like yourselves, the most successful or the longest running, or the ones that are in it for the long haul, are the ones that like actually are approaching it with a teamwork mentality in mind.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is definitely, we had on our vision board as well that, you know, we wanted to find a good team. You know, we fell down the trap early on of partnering with an MCM or MCN,
multi-channel network, MCN.
Multi, and you know they kind of screwed us over a bit, so it was kind of all of that side of things. Whereas now we've got, you know, we found great management. We've built a little team around us. You know, Kimmy's sister now helps us with editing the videos, and we've got Amy and Jodie, who I've got to say, you know, a huge thank you to, because they've just been phenomenal. And it's kind of having that little support group. You know, even we're in a WhatsApp group, just saying, hey, you know, how are you guys? Hope you're all doing well. You know, we've got this potential project lined up. What do you think? And it's just having that sort of that little team that motivates you and inspires you, and that keeps us also pushing forward, because we know we're doing it for more people. We're not just doing it for us, it's for a small little team that are fully behind James and Kimmy and want to see James and Kimmy reach the goals that we want James and Kimmy to reach.
Yeah, and they take a bit of workload off us as well, which is great, because we just have to focus on keep creating content that we actually love and enjoy. So I think that's really good, without worrying so much about, our emails need responding to. There's going to be so much editing with this. So when they take all those little bits off, you just focus on creating content you enjoy.
Yeah, you guys, your managers now are A3 artists, right? How did you end up connecting with them, first part, and then number two, what qualities were you looking for in terms of like a management group to like partner with? You know, because as you mentioned, you worked with the MCN and it wasn't like as much of a good experience, and sometimes like bad experiences can kind of sour you to like future opportunities. But you know, it seems like you guys went through that, you learned from it, and then perhaps like said, all right, that's not what we want. Maybe this is what we want instead.
Yeah. I think we always say like life is like an arrow. You've got to pull it back to fire it forward, and it travels even further. So those little negative pullbacks of getting screwed over by an MCN and people trying to cut in here, cut in there, I think that kind of opened us up to be more sort of cautious and aware of what other people are about and what they want. Because the MCN promised us everything, and they've got some huge names signed to them here in the UK. And we were like, wow, we can't believe that they want to partner with us. They were like, Zac Efron's part of this group, and every quarter we fly all of our talents out for a big photo shoot, meet and greet, this, that, and the other. And we're like, wow, like this is too good to be true. Why do they want to contact us with 50,000 subscribers at the time? We're like, what's going on? So obviously it was one of those too good to be true situations, and the vagueness of once we signed with them of like, okay, where is our AdSense money going? Oh, it's going to you, but we can't give you a report. It's going to this, and it's going to this project. It's like, we're not a part of that project. Why is it going to that project? And not that it was like, oh, we want it. It was just like, we don't understand what you're actually doing for us. And luckily we managed to get out of that after like 6 months. 6 months we managed to get out of it, and we kind of put our guards up and was like, do you know what, that's it. We're doing this on our own. We're just going to go full steam ahead. And we did for a long time after that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it just so happens that Amy, so YouTube hosted a BBC Talent Works workshop event. And Amy,
one of the talent managers from A3 was there,
and she was managing someone else, and we did this exercise of like pitching an idea to BBC and all these sort of things, and we kind of connected there. She was kind of like, oh, she kind of took note of us. I was like, oh, James and Kiimmy, this and that, and I was like, okay, they seem to know what they want and where they're going. And then a few months later,
she had joined a new
agency, which was A3, and said,
and reached out to us saying, I'm part of this agency. We're starting to work with UK creators. We're only going to manage a handful of people. Would you guys be interested in hearing more? And we scheduled like a little video call, and we had so many questions, obviously because of the past and what's happened. So we just wanted to make sure it's the right thing for us. And I think what we wanted is more of a talent manager. Let us look after our content and create content we love. Like, let's be in charge of that, and then help us to just give us ideas of how we can grow and just help nurture us in outside of controlling our content, and help us connect with brands and little things like that, things that were out of our reach to do, which is exactly what they did. They were like, your YouTube channel is obviously yours, we're just managing you guys as talent, and you have complete freedom to create the type of content you want without restrictions. And even in terms of AdSense, that's not something they're bothered about. And that was great for us. They kind of ticked every box that we had.
And they said to us as well, they said, look, let's do a 3-month trial, and if you're not happy with our service, we can just call it quits and remain friends. And after the 3 months, it was like it was working for them, it was working for us, and it was like, let's go for it. So now we've been with them for, like I said, I think about 18, maybe a year or so now.
And they're brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, very fortunate that you were able to find somebody who is trustworthy and is actually like getting the job done for you guys. So it really does sound, if you don't mind me asking, it sounds like they essentially like work off of the commissions based on like what brand deals that they can acquire for you, whereas you're still fully in control of the AdSense. It's not like with the MCN where the AdSense ends up being like a revenue share with like every other channel on the network. Like they're just concerned about getting you brand deals and other opportunities to like kind of make it worthwhile for them.
Definitely. And I think that's what I think a lot of people fall into that trap with MCNs. They have all of these, talents and stuff, and like for the talent that's on the list, it works because what happens is they fund the bigger creators for bigger projects because it benefits them in the brand deals that they get. So there's a famous group of content creators here in the UK. They've got a house, and the content creators live in the house and they create content for the MCN. Now, or everybody else that's signed to the MCN, your AdSense revenue is going to that house to pay the bills, to keep them happy, to do all of these things so they can do all their projects. And then you get a report that you look at and you go, I've made $5 this month, but 300 of it's gone to here, 200's gone here, and you're thinking, what's that for? And it's for the channel, it's for the network. We've had to administration fees and all this sort of stuff. And AdSense revenue isn't huge anyway. We was actually part of a panel after the Logan Paul incident of trying to help bring AdSense revenue back to YouTube. But back to the MCN. So that for big creators it works, because what they promise you is we'll edit the videos, we'll do the thumbnails, we'll do the description, we'll do the tagging, we'll do all of this, and you'll be part of this group. And what in reality happens is they don't do your editing, they don't do the description, they don't do the thumbnail, but your AdSense revenue does fund those projects that you could be a part of once you clear 1 million subscribers and everybody in the UK is talking about them.
Yeah, and then I think my biggest issue was they're not very transparent, because when you do get your AdSense reports and little things like that, when you ask, can I see their genuine one from YouTube? They don't actually send that to you. They'll just send one that they've created themselves. And we kept asking for them. We said, can we see the genuine from YouTube? Because we couldn't access it on our end. And they would never send that to us, so we knew something doesn't match up. So I think going into becoming a content creator, even though a lot of things that come into your inbox sound exciting, you've got to ask a lot of questions just to make sure it's the right thing, because it's so easy to even probably sign your whole channel away without realising, because something sounded so enticing, and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah,
I think looking more for a talent manager is more beneficial, because Amy and Jodie aren't necessarily interested in our channel, but they're interested in the sponsored projects that we do, and they help us with video concept, putting the brief together of, okay, these are the key parts, can we put them in here? So they're part of the planning process, because I was going to say benefit, but they like you said, they get paid on the commission of the deals that they bring in. So they also want the content that you put out, that you're jointly working on, to be to a high standard, so that brand comes back and says, you guys did a great job, can we commission another 3-4 videos? And we've had that where we've done a piece of work for someone and they've said, you know what, this is really good, we're really pleased, can we sign you on a 6-month deal? And we've done that because of the great work that Amy and Jodie have put in, saying, okay, let's put this here, let's put that there, let's angle it from this view, and let's go at this approach. And for that, we're very supportive. And for that, we're really grateful.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, it offloads a lot of that, like, administrative business side kinds of things, to someone, to people who are very well connected, right? Like that's their space. They deal with brands, they deal with companies and know what they want, and kind of can serve as that bridge. Whereas like if you're having to like manage those things yourself, it can kind of be a bit overwhelming, I imagine.
Exactly.
I wonder,
especially when a brand doesn't want to pay you as well. When you're doing it on your own, you've got to chase the invoice, you're chasing them up and they're saying, oh, it's this guy, that guy, and it just gets lost. And the amount of times when we started off, we'd either have to credit note invoices and work that we've done, because we were just getting nowhere for months. And it's like, do you know what, we started this channel not to focus on money. We whenever we do something, it's not based around money. We started this channel because we wanted to capture our memories, and we wanted to grow together on a platform where we could document it. And that has what's made us stay kind of true to ourselves, where it's not just let's do each and every brand deal because it's paying X amount. Let's just do what fits with our brand and how it works into our community. You could offer us thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands of pounds for something, but if it doesn't align to our beliefs and our sort of where we want to go with our channel and our subscribers, it won't feature. And we've had many a times where we've turned stuff down that's just not right for our page and our community. We pride ourselves on being a family friendly channel, and if you're trying to get us to advertise sort of explicit stuff, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at us, we're not gonna do it. And
I think your community sees right through that. because they know the type of people you are. So when they see a really false brand deal, they can tell. And I think that takes a bit of integrity away from your channel. And I was going to add on to what you were saying before, in terms of like when you're having to deal with all these emails, all these brands coming at you and they want to underpay you, it kind of starts draining your passion as a content creator, which is why getting a team is great, because they kind of take all that hassle away and you focus on just being a content creator. Because when you're focusing on being your own talent manager, being your own accountant, this, that, and the other, it all becomes so draining. And it's just, and that takes time away from content, and it just completely drains you.
Agreed.
Do you guys see yourself as like a small business now, as opposed to just being content creators? Like, did you have like any inclination to be entrepreneurial to any degree?
I think we've always tried lots of different things, and I feel like this isn't our first business. You know, it has become a business, but this isn't our first business. We've tried and failed at many different things.
You love business, that's why.
I tried an art business. I tried a clothing business. I tried a similar to like SoundCloud. It was called Bedroom Beats, Rent My Art, Just Leggings, Power Naps. I've tried many things when I was younger, and none of them worked. But becoming a YouTube content creator has managed to work, and it has become a business. Since I would say Amy and Jodie came along, it became a proper business, because like I said, the years before, it was, if we'd been chasing something for 6-7 months, if we'd been chasing a payment for 6-7 months, it became draining, and it was just like, well, we don't need it. We don't necessarily need to be chasing this. We're spending more time chasing the thing instead of just focusing on creating content that we enjoy. Whereas now Amy and Jodie have come along, A3 artists, that has helped definitely turn it into a small successful business.
Yeah, but I think it's like this same concept as what we were saying with videos. When you work so hard on something, sometimes it doesn't bang, and it's the things you least expect to work out. Like with this, we didn't expect for it to be a business, or expect it to grow to a point where it makes you any money, but it did. But for me, I can't really say I've really had any business adventures, because for me, I've just always been a creative person. I just wanted to create, whether it was dance, acting, making content. That's all I've ever wanted to do, create. Because I remember my family is very business orientated and they love doing business. But for me, whenever they used to try and talk to me about how business works, things like that, I will always just say, I'm never going to own a business. I'm never going to be a part of a business. So this is not for me. Like, I just used to ignore all their talks. So I think because you handle that side of things as well, and I'm just here sat doing content, so I still think of myself as just, content creator, come on the platform, make content. I still don't see it as this is a business. I'm still here like, I'm going to show up every day and make content. Yeah, so for me, I'm still that creative mind frame.
That's that dynamic of having two people.
Yeah.
You know, if you was to do it on your own, you know, it would be totally different. And if I was to do it on my own, it would be completely different. Yeah. You know, it's just having that other person that sort of counters your weaknesses with their strengths and vice versa. You know, you're fantastic at the thumbnails, the all of those sort of creative editings where you've got to take something from a still image and create it into something. You come up with a lot of the ideas for the channel in terms of videos and concepts. So it's that me behind the camera where I'm like, okay, I know how to film this, I know how to edit this. You come up with the project, Kimmy comes up with the project, and it's that sort of way of working that's being a double act.
Understanding each other's strengths. That's what we do. Teamwork.
Yeah. So how does you're touching on it a little bit there, but like, how do you guys divvy up the responsibilities these days? Like, Kimmy, you mentioned you do some of the editing, and you're diving into that a little bit more. You've been diving into that a little bit more since James had to take his break a little while back. But do you guys would you say like the roles are very, very like fixed in terms of like the behind the scenes stuff? Because obviously like the in front of the camera, like that's not negotiable. You guys are both in front of the camera, with the exception of like some videos where one doesn't appear in the other. But like, how do you guys go about like divvying up or like determining the roles in terms of getting the content produced?
I think we play to each other's strengths.
Yeah.
So sometimes it depends on the type of content we're making, because I'm very bad at like adding music to stuff, but I can put the content together quite well and align it on the timeline. So little things like that. So
I do like the big chop, don't I?
Yeah, he edits really quickly in terms of a big chop, cutting content down and removing all the unnecessary stuff. I'm good at, because I'm such a perfectionist. I like to trim things down accurately, make sure everything's in line, little things like that. But after that, obviously we need some music, so that's his strength again. So I think it's just divvying out the work according to each other's strengths. And sometimes it depends on how much workload we've got going on. So if I'm not feeling great and we have a video to edit, he knows, it's fine, I'll chop it up and I'll make all the little cuts, and you can just have a look over it, see if you're happy with it, and then we'll go. Or if you've got a lot going on, I'm happy to give it a good go to add music. So if you ever come across a video where we're playing the same music all the time, just know it's me and my limited range of music.
But the also thing is, like we said, thumbnails that's your thing. I haven't dabbled in the thumbnails. You say these are the images I've got. This is what I've created. Which one do you like? And I say, yeah. Let's go for that one. That works. Yeah. And what we've got for like every video is we've got a note that we've written down from like. So in the obviously, in the description, the first part is kind of like a brief about the video. Then everything after that is a note that we wrote a while back. That we've got links to playlists, links to this, links to social media, and it's just a copy and paste. So like the first few lines of the description, Kimmy will write something up about, or I'll write something up. It tends to more so be you. But then after that, it's kind of like, how can we sort of streamline and make things as sort of near enough completely autonomous? It's copy and paste description. We know what we've got a set of key tags that we know that work, and then based around the video, we'll add some new ones so they go in. It's kind of So on that side of things, it is kind of 50-50, I would say. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Playing to each other's strengths.
I see. I also want to touch base with you here in this conversation. We talked about it. You guys alluded to it a little bit earlier in terms of just privacy as well, like not being able to be selective about what you share and don't share with people, right? Like, so even though these videos, like if you're doing a 20-minute vlog or a 20-minute Q&A, it's quite long, but it's just a snapshot of your lives. How do you go about deciding what to share and what not to share? Because I don't know if you guys saw Rolling Stone article. It was a feature story on like David Dobrik, recently that, and it really stuck out to me about how he has gone to some of his issues recently as a creator, but it was really striking to me when he talked about how he's like, every single opportunity is, every moment is like an opportunity for content. Like, I don't understand. He kind of had this sense of like, well, everything should just be filmed. But it seems like your approach is not, you guys are definitely not feeling like, I don't want to share every single moment of my life. So, but certain moments of them. So how do you guys go about like thinking about that and deciding what makes it to the channel and what hits the cutting room floor? Yeah.
So like I said, in the beginning, we did everything and anything on our channel. We kind of,
but we didn't share a lot of personal stuff. No, I think with personal stuff, we've always been in tune into not to overshare, especially I think with relationships, it becomes really easy to just fall into it and just overshare everything. But I think there's certain moments, I don't know, but we're kind of in tune with each other. With certain moments, you kind of feel like, I'm not going to film that. If that's a private thing, and just scheduling what we're filming. Like if we know we've got a day out planned, we know, okay, let's film that day, let's have fun. But if James says like, tomorrow we're going to go for a day, I'm not going to pull out my camera and say, let's film that day as well. Because I feel like, that's a moment for us to just have a breather, reconnect, this and that. But if we've already planned, okay, tomorrow we're going to film all day, and we just happen to go to a restaurant during that day, that content makes it in. So it's one of those things where we always say, a lot of times with our content, people feel like they know a paragraph, but they only know a sentence, because there's a lot of things that we do, but we just choose not to share it, because those are moments we choose to like just keep to each other. Like our engagement, I think a lot of people ask for that video. they were asking why we didn't film it, but it was such an amazing moment between both of us. We didn't feel like there was a need to pull out a camera and just ruin the moment. It was just something we shared, and that's something we have in our memory.
Yeah, it's like our relationship isn't YouTube, if that makes sense. Our relationship is us two as a couple, and then YouTube gets the moments from our relationship that we've let on. And I think the great example, like you said, there was the engagement. Me proposing was done privately between us two, but when we announced it to our subscribers, it was a sit-down video and we explained what happened, sort of thing. It wasn't like, get a camera out, make sure the angle's right, get the light in, make sure the ring gets up. So it's kind of, I think you're right, we are in tune. And what I was going to say is, because we tried everything in the beginning, once we kind of fell down that route of beginning, middle and end, it was a case of, we know what we're doing today, we know what the end of the day is, which is we might be at a restaurant, so that's included. Whereas if it's not a day where we're filming, it's whatever happens in that day is to that day, and private moments that we want to keep private because they're special to us won't make it into a vlog. Yeah,
because you can film spontaneous moments sometimes, but when you're editing, you just feel like, should I keep that moment in or should I just save it? So you will have a lot of behind the scenes where you just feel like, oh, that was a nice little moment between us, that I'm just going to keep that one, hold that back. But because the video is still giving away a lot about us and people are still able to connect with us, but you just have moments where you just keep to yourself. So you just still have that element of your relationship is still a bit private, even though it's so public, it's still a bit private.
Yeah. And I also sort of subconsciously remember Logan Paul when a YouTube event, he kind of left a video message of like content creators. They had like a load of creators that had left a message about creating, and sort of his videos, he said it's 20 minutes of my day, but that 20 minutes is 20 minutes of non-stop action, whatever that entails. So it's the example he gave on the thing was one of his guys in his team, it was their birthday, so it was like, this is the guy's birthday, we're going to prank him, we're going to throw stuff at him, and then we're just going to be loud and jump in the pool. And he said that took 20 minutes, so that was the vlog. It wasn't him waking up, jump in the shower, okay guys, I'm going to brush my teeth, today's Jerry's birthday, we're going to surprise. It was, hey guys, it's Jerry's birthday today and we're going to throw him in the pool later on, let's go. And then it was out, pick up the stuff, got back home, threw cake on him, threw him in the pool, thanks for watching, subscribe. And it was just like, so seeing that as well was kind of like, even these big creators are selecting just moments. And obviously David Dobrik, who does 4-minute videos, if he's filming everything, he can fit it all into those 4 minutes and get his watch time nice and high, so his videos keep getting promoted.
But I think for him, filming, because he does the 4-minute videos, filming everything for him is a great opportunity, because those 4 minutes he tries to make it as entertaining as possible. So I think
it's allowed to be random.
He doesn't want to miss a spontaneous moment. So for him, he films everything, and only a fraction of it makes it like the most interesting moment. So you're still missing about 23 hours, 55 minutes of his day. So you don't know what happened there. But he's selective of the moments he chooses to share. But I think for him, it is one of those things, he doesn't want to miss out on a spontaneous moment. So the camera should always be on for him.
Should always be, and I think he can get away with it. I'm not going to jinx it and say it's impossible. I think it would be hard for someone else to sort of follow that sort of random format and grow to the level he's got as quickly. I feel like people like Casey Neistat and stuff like that, Peter McKinnon, and them sort of those channels that have a beginning, middle and end, nice bit of B-roll, they take you on a journey. I feel like they do better for the masses. I think it's harder for people to do, right, I'm going to do 4 minutes only, completely random, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also too want to ask you guys about, obviously, like having this baby upcoming, watching your video where you unveiled that you are expecting, and noting that you don't plan on featuring your child once he or she is born, like at least for a few years, right? And maybe that could even extend further. Just it depends on like the personality of the baby, right, and the child. But I'm curious, like what did those conversations look like for you guys in terms of like, all right, we're gonna have like additions to this family, and we have to like probably think about consent, right? Like the idea of like, okay, we would love to feature our child, but like, does the child child want to be a part of the content that we're creating. So how early on were you guys starting to start to think about these things when it comes to having a family and then featuring that part of your life on YouTube?
Very early on, wasn't it? It's also kind of like a security type thing as well. You know, it's you're putting your child out there to everybody, and anybody can sort of see those types of, can see your videos. So I think it's they will be featured, but it won't be heavily featured. It will be
like they won't be sat down for a whole 20-minute video in every single frame. So you might see them here and there, or a video might be catered around a special moment that's just happened, or little things like that. But we're going to try and do it in a way that's not too heavily featured, so they still get a bit of privacy, because they're entitled to that as well.
And I think when they get older, you know, when they get older, you can have those funny videos where they're kind of, you know, who knows mummy or daddy better and all these types of things. But that's when they're older, they can, you know, they can be a part of like a video here, but you might not see them again in another video for a while. Do you know what I mean? It's that let them enjoy their privacy and their sort of childhood, and then, you know, later on when they're older and they say, hey mum, hey dad, I want to be part of the channel, and say, right, okay, you know, if you want to be a part of it, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those conversations where we said, like, our content sometimes it's quite spontaneous. When we were doing the Q&A and someone asked that, we were actually kind of having that conversation properly, but while we were recording. So that's when we were like, oh yeah, you think that? Yeah, I think so too. So that was one of the proper moments where we had a chance to speak about it while we were answering that question.
Yeah, it's really like, you know, just allowing them to make that decision too, right? Like as they get older, like if they want to be a part of it. Because I mean, I'm sure you guys went through this in your own childhood too, where there are moments where your parents might have told you, you have to do this. You're like, I don't really want to do that. And like, even though YouTube is such a fun experience, you know, in terms of like the level of success that you guys have been able to glean, like when you're being forced to do something, especially if you're forcing a kid, it might not be that fun for them. So like if they're making that active decision or choice to be a part of the videos, then it's a win, like all the way around, you know, rather than like, you know, spoon feeding them broccoli. They're like, oh, this is great, I love it.
Exactly that. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that we know that have got a good approach that we like as well, isn't it? Like where, you know, kind of, okay, you know, you can feature here, but not too much, just so you don't, you know, just so you're comfortable, however you feel. Because if I was to be how I was, if I had a YouTube channel like we have now and I was 18, I would turn out a completely different person to the person I am now. If I had hundreds of thousands of subscribers at 18 years old, I would think that the world is mine and I can do anything and get away with it. So it's that sort of, you don't want to just throw everything upon your child. And I think with us, we're also having the discussions of, we always say it's not about making it, it's about maintaining, you know. In 10 years' time, where is YouTube going to be, and where are we going to be in 10 years' time? Because we'll be close to 40 by then. So how will our channel look, and how will we be behaving at 40? Are we still going to be going, hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel? We're 40, 50-year-old people, you know. So we're sort of in the stages now where we're planning, saying, okay, in the future we want to be going down more of this route, more of a sensible adult route, where we're talking about properties and, you know, finance and all these types of things. Like there's many channels that we watch and admire, like Patricia Bright, how Patricia Bright's channel has become, she's incorporated her children, she's incorporated her relationship with her partner, but she's also gone down the finance route and these sort of more grown up things that you look at, and it doesn't matter what age you are, you could be 50, 60 year old and you'd still want to watch it because it's interesting, engaging, it's like, wow, it's great. Whereas at 50, 60 year old, are we going to look out of place going, hey, let's go surfboarding and boogie boarding and skydiving? You know, it'll just look a little bit, you know, off channel.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I mean, honestly, like you guys are an inspiration in terms of the way that you think and the way that you're approaching YouTube. I wonder too if it's a part of, there was a generation before your generation that kind of was like the crash test dummies for YouTube and didn't really quite know like what this platform would like evolve into. And so you've been able to like watch that, I guess, before like really building yourselves up. Because I think, you know, one of my favorite YouTubers for the longest time, and I know she's stepped away from her channel, was Jenna Marbles. And like Jenna, like if you look back to like her channel, like the video that really got her going was at how to trick people into thinking that you're not ugly and whatnot. And the way that her personality was back then in like 2007 or whenever she published that video, by the time she left YouTube, she was making videos about like houseplants. Like you would have never thought that like, oh, this like attractive woman who's kind of like a party girl is now like into houseplants and like, you know, maintaining her home. But it's so cool to hear you guys like have that self-awareness that like we are going to evolve and change as a couple, as a family, and as people, and we can't, and our audience has to be ready for that and expect that as we go through life.
Definitely. Yeah.
No, I was going to say that I think that's the cool thing about YouTube, because people really get to know you and they're invested in your life. So as you grow and evolve, they're part of that journey and they're kind of watching you grow. So no matter what you do, whenever you were going to say, today I'm interested in bird keeping, they're going to be like, oh, okay, Kimmy's doing bird keeping, because they're more invested in you as a person. So no matter what route or journey you want to take, they're just invested in you as a person.
Yeah, and I think that stems from the work you create 5-6 years ago, making sure that when you're creating your first video and you're true to yourself, you're doing it because you love it, and you're keeping it sort of friendly. You're not pushing the boundaries. You know, I touched on it earlier when we was part of a program to help brands reinvest back into YouTube. That was 2017. 2017 or 2018, I think we just hit 50,000 subscribers, and it was a Google event to bring brands back to YouTube, because obviously there'd been the incident with Logan Paul, their revenue had dropped like 70% overnight, all these brands pulling back, and Google had this event in London where they had all of these big brands saying, look, it's okay to reinvest in YouTube, and here are some content creators that we trust and want you to meet, to see that there's these types of people that are also part of the YouTube program. And that was quite interesting to see that dynamic. And obviously we believe that being there and having those conversations did help for YouTube to have, you know, money put back into it and help creators grow. No, that's really cool that you guys have been able to participate in that, and it's just going to be really fun to see how you guys evolve. Like I discovered your channel not too long ago, but like I just love your guys' personality, and like even for me not being from the UK, like it's really cool to kind of see a snapshot of what your lives are like and how you're able to share that in a way that is really engaging and like capturing the attention of so many people, you know, in your country as well as around the world. So to wrap things up here, I would love to ask you guys in terms of advice that you would offer to creators who maybe are just a step behind you in their process. If you were getting started today, what piece of advice would you offer them in terms of approach or mindset to tackling the content creation game? It's a good question, and do you know what's funny? We're doing a trial run with some people that we know that are starting YouTube to see if what we've done we can help smaller creators grow again, because I do feel like there is a lack of support until you reach a certain point of like 10,000 subscribers or so, is when you get to have access to all the nice and lovely, wonderful stuff that will help you grow, whether that be partner managers at YouTube and all these types of things. Like, I've seen channels channels that are producing phenomenal quality in terms of videos, B-roll, information, everything, and they're struggling to break past 2,000 subscribers or 100 subscribers, and you're thinking this channel has the capability of being the best channel. Like off the top of my head, I can't think of the creators that I'm thinking of, but I remember watching this guy's video like a month or two ago, and I said to Kimmy, this channel is going to be a great channel, and I want to help this person grow their channel. I don't know how, I don't know when or what I'm going to do, but just looking at their content, all of their content already is ticking all the boxes for something to be a phenomenal channel. What we say to people in terms of what we would recommend and how we would go about it is the old saying that everybody says, which is consistency. And when I say consistency, I don't mean that just because you upload a video every day, your channel's automatically going to grow. What being consistent does is you get better at editing, you get better at sound, lighting, filming, angles, what to say, how to say it, all those types of things. And we're just proof of that. I hated being in front of the camera. I look at our first video and I go, I cringe. I get so embarrassed. It's like all those bits where I've left in me going, my name's James and I'm all these things. But you only get better by creating content and editing it, because you're only going to get better at something if you edit it again and again and again. Leave it a couple of days and rewatch it a few days later with new eyes. Then you look back and you go, really? Why did I leave that in? But I think consistency is a very key part. Thumbnails are a very key part, and just creating content that you're happy with, and don't think about the numbers, don't think about anything else, just do what makes you happy and stay consistent.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, as well as that, I agree with what you said, is being true to yourself. Because there's only so long you can put on this charade of who you want people to perceive you as. And followers quickly see through that, because you will drop it here and there. So be true to yourself, because it builds integrity within your community, and subscribers feel like they can trust you more when they feel like you're being genuinely honest with them. And the other thing is, it's okay to take a break when you need to, because if you're doing it because you feel like you have to, the quality of content you're going to produce is not the same as if you had a week break and then you're back and you feel refreshed and ready to go. And it's like what you said earlier, so think of it as long-term rather than short-term. Because if you're putting out content and you feel like you're burning out and you don't give yourself a break, it is going to be very short-term, and you're going to burn out before you know it, and you're going to completely lose passion for what you're doing. So just listen to yourself and just give yourself a break when you feel like you need a break, and that way that will help you maintain the type of content and the quality of content you're putting out there in order to be long-term.
Well, guys, well said. That was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky. Hopefully we can do a part 2 at some point. There's so many other things that I would love to chat with you guys about, but until then, we'll direct everybody over to your YouTube channel and we will kick it there. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Us. And we definitely need to do a part 2.
Thank you again to James and Kimmy for joining me on this episode of the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky. Make sure to type into YouTube James and Kiimmy, that's Kiimmy, and James James. Anyways, want to let all of you know, if you are enjoying the episode, if you're enjoying the podcast, make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And also, if you are a content creator that struggles to organize and script your ideas, you can get a copy of our free scripting template. It can help you out with that. All you have to do is go to videocraftshow.com, sign up, and it will get delivered straight to your inbox right after you do that. And share the episode if you enjoyed it as well. And finally, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, because we read all of them. We like to hear from you. We love to hear the feedback from you. And finally, got to thank my team for helping me out and making this show possible. Of course, Nikki Vicente and Ingrid Saraiba editing and producing the show, as well as Paulo Lopez on graphics for handling all of the work when it comes to the thumbnails of this particular program. And if you are interested in having content produced exactly like this, you like the quality of this video, make sure to visit visit Video Husky. Just go to www.videohusky.com and you can learn more about what Video Husky can do for you and your videos. So until next time, we will see you again on another episode of the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky.